Tawess, and today we're going back to the start. Well, not really the start, but the Star League. Because I do have booked in with my supplier of plastic unhealthiness the command box, the Star League command box. So I thought it was time to update my Star League / Eridani Light Horse recipe. Because, well, I looked at the pre-painted models and I could probably get fairly close to that one so it doesn't stand out all too much, because you know how it is. So we start off with a good solid slab of angel green or Caliban green, or well, your bottle green I think would also be a decent one for this one if you have a more classic paint scheme. But anyway, a dark cold green anyway. Slight bluish tint to it. Why? Well, no reason really. You could use black also. I used fat black green in this case. And in essence the idea is that I'm gonna get a good nice solid flat base to work with. And yes, I know this is painting paint straight onto plastic, I know. But it's also Caliban green. Caliban green is a base paint from Games Workshop, and base paints from Games Workshop work perfectly fine without a primer, as long as you wash the model properly before. So there's that. If you feel that you have something to say about that, go ahead and say it. Now, with that said, and I mean that with that said, we are going to move on to painting on some army green, which is a very pale olivey green. And this step is technically not necessary. I use it because I'm lazy and I want to have an easy way of finding my panels once I panel wash it later, but you don't need this step. If you still have good eyesight, you can just go beyond this step. You can just skip this step and go direct to next step. Or you could start with a black and then add a bottled green, dark green to that instead. But I have bad eyesight these days and I just wanted to have a bit of help, to be honest. And yeah, not much of a mystery in that case. Basically picking out every panel, making sure to leave the gaps between the panels fairly visible. This looks awful when you do it first, but trust the process, it gets better. But yeah, basically picking out all the panels fairly carefully. A little bit of overpaint is okay because you could be going to wash this later, but the more precise you are at this stage, the easier the last stage of the painting will be. As always. Again, trust the process. Just keep putting in the panels. That's a good practice because mechs have a lot of panels. You are not going to get away from that. They have a lot of panels. Now, this scheme is the basic standard scheme. This is a Star League Defense Force. This is the Eridani Light Horse. There are plenty of mech units to use this. It is sort of a standard drab. So it's a good thing to paint. If you don't want to know what to paint your mechs like, you just want basic colors that works with anything, this is how you do it. This paint scheme, just slap it on, it works with anything. Very easy that way. And as I said, the upcoming Star League Defense Force box will require this, because they did not have much in the way of variety when it comes to paint. I mean, they did use appropriate camo when appropriate, but their field dressing was basically just this. So, with that, I'm adding some military wash to it from Army Painter. You can use any warmer green wash. Don't use a cold wash in this case because it just gets much more work. A warm wash is better. The idea here is to basically get into all the recesses. Recess pieces. To get into all the recess pieces. Don't put recess pieces on your metal. Anyway, the idea is to tone down everything and make sure that the green is really dark. Now, once that is done, it's on to painting the panels again. And this is what I mean with I wanted to make life easy for myself, because now I can easily see the bright panels in contrast to the dark lines, because I have bad eyesight. Now, I wish I could tell you what paint this is, but this paint is a mix of desert yellow, army green, and orc green in a mix. It's a very odd mix. But the idea is to hit this olivey green army drab, basically. And I'm not going to highlight this at all, because I like the flat look. Not everyone does this. Some people love the edge highlight, but I always felt that the mechs are such big units that edge highlighting them would look strange in some regards. Now you could do a fade, or you could do some gradients on them instead, because they're big enough for that. But I prefer to stick to sort of flat, crisp, clear, buttery smooth if I manage. I don't always manage buttery smooth, but buttery smooth is always the idea. Now the paint job itself is very basic. You just paint every panel in this olivey green color and make sure to keep the gaps between the panels clean. This might require 2 coats. This does require you to thin the paint a bit so it actually behaves. Because misbehaving paint at this stage will just be annoying, because you can't go back and fix the panel lines. If those are gone, then they're gone. Then you're done for, basically. Now, as I said before, I'm still waiting for a lot of stuff. And I have no idea when the stuff arrives. But that is also what it is. There's a problem living this far north. It's like you don't really have the control over supply lines. As I have one store in my country that sells Battletech stuff. If you discount Amazon, which I prefer to do as much as I can, I don't prefer to count Amazon. I have one store. I simply can buy what they take in. If they don't have something, I can't buy it. They don't have the new stuff, I can buy the new stuff. They don't have the... They have the Urban McLance, they don't have the Urban Lamb, they don't have the... They just got the profiliation cycle mix in. Consider picking those up a bit, but I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, the skull, Desert Yellow, my base for everything bone. Let it dry. While let it dry, paint metals. Metals are good. You know, this I'm using cobalt metal because it's a bluish, slightly more cold, a very cold metal, and I like it for this. I don't know. It makes it easier to highlight it later. I don't think I actually show on camera, but basically you take like bright silver or something, just put a slight brushing on top of it. It looks really good. Very quick. But yeah, you know my style at this point. Weapons and feet. Those are the things that gets painted in metal. Weapons and feet. And some random accessories like the head antenna, because I like it to stand out. Then slap some strong tone or your dark wash of choice over the head to have those lines pop out, because again we are going to paint the panels when we want the clear separation between panels and gaps. Also drop the MAC mix for good work. Now if you have some Nuln Oil, the old Nuln Oil sitting around, use that for metals, because it's great for metal. But if you don't have that, you can use any dark tone black wash. There are 100 of them on the markets. Heck, you can use an oil wash if you're brave. I'm not, so I don't. Also don't have the patience. Actually, you could technically use oil washing for panel lining too if you want to do that. If you want some great tutorials on panel lining, you can look up Gundam videos, because those people love the panel line with oil washes, so they're great with that. Yeah, not much more to say about that though. Just slap Nuln Oil on everything. Everything looks better with Nuln Oil. It's just one of these things. Now I wish I could show you a good detailed step of how I paint the head, but apparently I forgot where the camera was, so you can get a few shots of me painting the head, but in essence it's the same method used for the other panels. And in this case using a desert sand and bone, wraith bone-ish combo. First layer mix 50-50, second mixed 730 to the bone, and then one last dashing of bone color on top of that to make sure that it stands out. Again, do this slow, make sure that you have the panels crisp and clear and properly separated. Because if you fuck this up, you can't really go back and fix it. Or you can paint over with another layer of wash and then go back and paint all the panels again, but it's annoying. You don't do that. So stay away from that. I also painted the eyes later, but that's a later problem. And yeah, that is pretty much it. I'm not entirely sure if you, as you can see, great goddamn camera work, isn't it? We love the camera work. You're watching my knuckles and a bit of dirty cutting mat. Brilliant. Anyway, I also hand painted the Eridani symbol on them, but that came out really bad, so we don't talk about that one. And with that, we are pretty much getting close to the end. We now have a painted mech. Classic painted mech. And as we roll into the beauties, all I can say is, stay safe, be kind, and do play fair. Bye!